I wanted to talk real quick about decoupling or separating your magic from your technology. And I think this is sort of a growing question, and I'll be addressing this more in my ebook that I'm working on. But basically, there's a lot of guys who are performing magic with technology now, and more, we're getting to a point where technology is more and more common, and it's important that magicians are able to use technology to create magic. One of the things that I always talk about is how magicians are our job as magicians is to be able to manipulate the world around us. And so that involves knowing what's in the world better than the lay people, the people who we're entertaining. So to be comfortable enough with the world around us that we can actually manipulate it in ways that most people actually can't figure out. And so it's totally natural that there'd be this evolution towards using technology in magic. But the problem becomes when the technology is doing the magic, or that the magic lives in the technology. And it's at that point where it stops being amazing and just kind of being something that your audience doesn't understand. And the tricky thing about this is that technology is inherently confusing for some people. There's a lot of technical minded people out there who get confused by things like computers and sophisticated cell phones and stuff like that. So there's that really tired joke from the 80s, 90s, and sadly to this day that some people can't program their VCRs and they're still blinking 12. And that's true. That a lot of people just can't figure out how some technology works. So anyway, to make a long story short, when you're putting technology and magic together, it's important to separate what is the magic and what is the technology. Like, for example, this isn't just amateurs and hobbyists and people who are trying to do magic or learning to do magic. I mean, it's as high up as David Copperfield, which is about as big as it gets. For example, he has a trick in his show where card is selected, etc., and there's a TV screen on the stage where the card is revealed by a fetus that's inside a mother's womb. And I mean, it's a clever trick, and honestly, I don't know how it works, but ultimately the revelation and everything is done on the screen, and audiences are certainly getting more sophisticated as we move on. So for them to make the connection that somebody can manipulate images real time on a TV screen or a computer monitor, really, if it was amazing at one point, it's got a lifespan, it's got a shelf life, and I think we're definitely past that. Also, there's a lot of iPhone apps that are coming out, where something on the iPhone does something or knows something or whatever, and that is again, I think a kind of a bad combination of magic and technology, because as soon as somebody understands that voice recognition exists in the world, your trick is over. It doesn't really matter that's not how you did it. It doesn't matter that your method is actually even simpler and more clever. The moment that they know that voice recognition exists, which everybody knows that now, your trick's just not that amazing. Honestly, it doesn't really matter how you did the trick if voice recognition exists in the world, which it does. So if you're going to use an iPhone app to do a magic trick, I would just say make sure that the magic is separate than the technology. So for example, I did a trick last year that uses an iPhone. It's called Brain Scanner. And that is a good example, I think, of separating, because the phone reads the mind of the spectator, but it reads their mind, and it reads something that did not happen in the phone. It reads something that you, as the magician, also did not know. And so there's this separation there. Like the phone doesn't know something that you know, and it also doesn't know something that just lives in the phone. So that's just an example of how you can separate the technology from the magic. A mixtape, another one of my tricks, is actually another example of separating the magic from the from the technology. Sorry. So you give somebody a CD before you sit down with them, and that's all you do. They take that later and they play it, and it happens to be all their favorite songs. And the fact that the trick exists in the world it's still not connected to the fact that what you gave them is a piece of technology. So just be mindful, I think, of how you're using your technology, and that you use it to sort of enhance what you're doing. And that modern audiences are getting more sophisticated. People know that these types of things exist. Like I said, when you're doing a trick on a phone, you know, uh, there's a lot of ways that I can fool people on a computer. With technology. Like I have a technical background. I happen to know a lot about computers. There's a lot of ways to fool people on a computer. I mean, most people are already fooled by computers. Most people already are confused the moment you sit down on a computer with them. So for you to do something on the computer that they may as well think is possible because they are so hopeless, it really just takes away from the magic. I mean, it's true that it's important to manipulate the world around you and that technology exists, but the best magic manipulates things that people are very, very familiar with. So a ball, a cup, even a playing card. I mean, playing cards aren't that common, but people are pretty familiar with them. Not familiar enough, I think. I mean, it's not the most familiar thing. So I mean, I, 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 I don't think card magic is the strongest possible form of magic, but it's a little bit more to the point. So anyway, just something to think about. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.